1, 2, 3. I'm assuming you clapped. Let me just verify for everyone that you clapped.
I'll do it in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Chatters, let me explain what we're doing today. Hearthstone Top Decks is a website where people, when cards come out, can review them even before they come out. And it is given on a star review of 1 to 5. I learned this last time. Apparently, you can't actually give a card less than 1, so there's no point to go below it. I don't know if you knew that, Roffle, but I think one of us gave like a 0 point something. It was probably me.
Yeah, I remember that because I saw somebody point it out, and I hoped that it was you that had done it.
I think it is probably me. Today, chat, you guys are going to pick cards for us to guess the ratings of, and whoever is the closest will get a point, and then it's first to 15 wins. Do you want to let your chat pick the first card?
Yeah, I've already got one come in, and
okay.
It's Ticketus.
Okay, Ticketus, 6 mana, 8/8. It's a demon. Battlecry, remove the top 5 cards from your deck. Corrupt your opponent's deck instead. Reminder for people who don't know, Corrupt is playing a card that costs more mana while this card is in your hand. Okay, so we kind of went through this last time. I think a lot of our points came down to the psychology of players. When people say your deck instead of removing cards, people feel very strongly about that, which makes me think that this card was rated very highly.
I think that you're dead on that people hate losing cards in their deck. Like, even after this card released, people got to play with it and see how bad it was. People were still mad at this card and thought it was very good. And like,
you're right. You're entirely right.
So I think it's going to be, without giving away my rating, I think it's going to be pretty significantly higher rated than the card actually performed.
So because we did a video before this, there is a lot of like things we've learned from it, right? And we talked about an emotional standpoint already. I do think it's because it's also a Warlock card, and with this effect, people are already scared. I don't know how people felt about the expansion going into this, though. Also, just a reminder, I don't know if this influences your guess at all, but this was also the Battle Pass fiasco thing at this time. And
okay, so everybody was really angry.
Everyone was really angry. Yeah, I think it definitely goes to the higher side. I'm not just sure how high you're gonna go, but obviously we're gonna type our guesses in, and then we can go one by one.
Yeah, I've already got my guess ready to go.
All right, let me type it in. All right, so chat, reminder, the way this is gonna work is both me and Roffle are gonna put our guesses on screen. That way we are gonna be honest, and then it doesn't matter who says it first because we're not gonna change our guess. What was your guess, Roffle?
4.2.
I went 4.1.
Whoa. You're just metagaming this. Clearly he's stream sniping. Come on.
4.7? No way, man. An 8/8 for 6 mana that lets you remove 25 cards from your opponent's deck by turn 10. Really?
I'm sorry, wait, what?
25 cards?
How are we getting to 25 again?
That's a great question. I think what I'm going to do for this video too is just talk about how good the card actually ended up being for every single card. From what I remember, at least in standard, you could give the wild perspective here. Ticketus was fine. Like, it was playable. You played it as a win condition for Yashiraj Warlock, but for the most part, it didn't feel very great. And the matchups that it won, it felt really good, but obviously it's going to look really good in those matchups. And you were right. Like, people were really upset about this card, and I have no idea why.
Well, I know exactly why. It beats like absurd greed piles that don't actually beat anything, but like this super beat those decks. So like anything remotely slow, this would just kind of solo. It was a card that in both formats was just constantly overvalued in terms of like the community's understanding of its impact.
Okay, hold on. I gotta explain the story for someone. Someone in my chat asked why is Ticketus banned in this chat. Let me explain why. I literally had to I had to ban the word. The reason why Ticketus is banned in my chat is because I was a Warlock player through a Darkmoon Fair because it's my favorite class. And I would constantly say, yeah, Ticketus is good, but it's not broken. It doesn't need a nerf. And I just couldn't deal with the comments constantly telling me that I'm wrong or stupid about Ticketus. So I banned it.
Oh,
just so I don't have to...
can't take a little bit of criticism, huh? Seems pretty...
Buddy, it was... I had to go to therapy, bro. It was horrible. It was horrible.
I know. Everything that you're saying about Ticketus right now, call back to last episode, I've gone through that with Cobalt Sticky Finger.
Oh, I see. Because you're constantly like, it's not that good.
Yes, but like Ticketus is a lot closer to being good than Cobalt Sticky Finger.
Let's do Puppet Macedorian. Neutral 4 mana 2/6. After you draw a minion, get a 1/1 copy of it that cost 1. This card, when it was revealed, was very high on people's list as going to be broken. I was one of them, and I think we're seeing it right now how strong this card could be in Druid, especially when your ability to ramp is absolutely insane and you can just get 1-cost copies of ENR. And I think everyone was really easy, Or it was really easy to tell that this card could be potentially strong, which makes me believe that this card is rated like 5 stars.
A couple things on that. First of all, it did take like some time for those types of decks to develop because there were some, you know, both a combination of balance changes, and I don't think the card was initially at least as strong as people's like gut instinct actually was. Like I think even still seeing what it's doing now, I think people maybe overreacted a little bit, but it is very clearly a strong card. Just it's not. It felt like people were responding like this is Barnes 2.0.
Yeah, but if we think about this, like when people rate cards, right, it's usually before they're released. So I'm thinking that this one was just, people were very worried for how good this card was going to be. I think it just objectively looks really strong in a vacuum, and that makes me want to rate really, really high. All right, I went with 4.8.
Okay, I went a little bit lower than that. I went 4.5.
4.4.
Okay.
Oh.
I am 1 with r/Hearthstone.
All right, what's the next card?
Snowfall Guardian.
You're gonna have to carry the weight on this one. Let me tell you why. 6 mana 5/5 Snowfall Guardian for Shaman. Battlecry frees all other minions elemental. Now, this is not what this card used to say. I gotta get the actual text.
No, it's not.
It used to be 5 mana? What? Okay, so 5 mana. Battlecry frees all other minions, gain +1/+1 for each frozen minion. 5 mana for that effect. Okay, so the reason why I'm gonna have to ask you to carry this or how people felt about this card was that this card was revealed when I was playing Mercenaries, the objectively better game mode that is still live and well. And
wait, what?
What do you mean? What's so funny?
I'm sorry. I didn't know that you or anyone for that matter played Mercenary.
Dude,
I tried for a day and I got bored.
Let me explain what happened. Okay, let me explain what happened. The set before Mercenaries was fully released was United and Stormwind, which I consider the worst expansion ever added to Hearthstone, and I wanted to die playing in it. So when Mercenaries came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be pretty fun. And you know what? Full transparency, Roffle, I really liked the mode for the first little while before they started adding new characters into the game. Unfortunately, RIP for the Mercenaries because it died after they did a lot of stupid changes, but we don't have to talk about that. How did people feel about Snowfall Guardian? Do you have any idea?
I think it was just kind of completely and utterly slept on, if memory serves.
Really?
I mean, it turned out to be turbo broken in both formats, but like people didn't really have this card register, I don't think. I don't know what it was doing in standard, but like it just made the game horribly miserable for a different reason than the rest of United and Stormwind did in Wild, because you could just repeat this over and over again with Shudderwalk and the opponent would stop being able to play the game.
I remember coming back into Hearthstone after Mercenaries died during Alterac Valley, and this card was very playable, and I was confused why they made it. But that doesn't help me in terms of rating because I don't know what people wanted to say. Based on what you said, it seemed like this was just like people saw the effect and was like, it's not going to be that strong.
I think they saw the effect and they saw 5 mana Frost Nova that goes both sides of the board, and they're like, that could never possibly be good. Cards
that look boring but are strong in a vacuum often just don't get a high rating because they're not super flashy. And I guess this is a good example of a card that's like that. I'm basing this a lot of what you said, so you could be lying to me, Mr. Awful.
I mean, I'm basing my own guess on what I just said, so I went with 3.3, thinking that like after the fact it went up a little bit.
All right, I'm going with 3.7. All right, it is a 4.6. See, it's tough because again, we talked about it, like Hearthstone top decks is just, they're definitely min-maxers when it comes to Hearthstone, I think. Reddit, I think, is more or less niche than Hearthstone top decks is. All right, I love this one. Let's do the Boogie Monster. Okay, the Boogie Monster, 8 mana, 6/7 neutral. When this attacks and kills a minion, gain +2/+2. This card sucked. Like, let's be real. If this card had Rush, I think it's still awful. I don't know how much you really want to discuss this. I'm tempted just to give this like a 1.1, but I'm curious to see what you say.
Sure. We can just go to the ratings.
You don't want to rep for your boy? I thought you were a big Boogie Monster guy. Okay, you're gonna guess?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with 1.4.
Okay, I went completely off the rails on this one. Infinite scaling card. I think this gets rated highly. I went 4.1.
4.1?
Yep.
What the fuck? So you're just...
After seeing how highly rated Paeltress was, what else am I supposed to do? Yeah, but
okay. Before I even look at the reviews here, Paeltress was summoning a random legendary. This is just a big fucker.
It's infinite scaling. It's Gruul.
It has a 1.7.
Wait, is it actually? Did you get it on the dot? No, you were.
I put 1.4, but yeah, I'm obviously closer. Damn, Roffle, you're fucking crazy, bro. I think if you got that, I just would have left.
First time chatter. Surely people weren't that oblivious. Somebody didn't tune in for last episode. Okay, here's another one that's been the bane of my existence. This one actually was a banned word in my chat for a while. It's plate breaker.
All right.
You see what I have to live with? You see why I don't stream Hearthstone anymore, Rarran?
Chat, look what you did to him. So for people who don't know, Cobalt Sticky Fingers, I thought was going to be a horribly rated card because it's just weapon tech. And it ended up getting what, like a 4.6 or something, because people were like, oh, steel weapon super good. There is no way that still applies to Plate Breaker. Plate Breaker is a 5 and a 5/5 neutral minion battle card, destroy your opponent's armor. This card was unplayable. I think maybe in Wild against like Armor Druid, people were like, oh, like this is gonna be so good against it. Wild isn't majority of players, which makes me believe that people were smart enough to realize that Plate Breaker wasn't gonna be good and it's a lower rated card.
Mm-hmm. I think you underestimate how much people just hate Druid in general.
You know what? You're not wrong. There's actually a subreddit called Fuck Druid. I don't know if you were aware. Again, like when I see Plate Breaker, I don't even think of Druid. I think of Warrior for the most part, because you have to be a Wild player to really understand how annoying the Armor Druid can be.
Last time we talked about how Sticky Finger had a much higher play rate, like more than double the play rate of Kingsbane, despite being tech against Kingsbane. I would venture to guess that there's probably a period of time where the same was true for Plate Breaker compared to Linecracker.
There's definitely an emotional thing here for sure. Yeah, you're entirely
right.
right.
Absolutely, yeah.
I can't see the average Hearthstone player being like, damn, this card's gonna be so good. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm right. Okay, let me get my guess in.
I went with 3.3 because what you don't understand, Rarran, is what chat has told me many times. This card actually deals 5,200 damage, so pretty good for 5 mana.
I'm gonna go with 2.1.
I hope that you're more correct than me, please, God.
This is what you said for Sticky Fingers last time.
I know.
So off. Okay. 4.5. There's no way, dude.
Do you see now why I rated Boogie Monster 4.1?
I understand. This card is going to be great for the Lich King boss, especially for Warrior. Rip controlled Warrior permanently in the Wild format. Oh my God.
I tried to warn you, Rarran.
Okay. Oh my God. That was your card, right? What the fuck?
Yes, it was.
Let's do Plague of Murlocs. 3 mana Plague of Murlocs. Transform all minions into random Murlocs. This is Savers of Uldum. So during this time, I don't remember what Shaman was doing beforehand, but this ended up being somewhat playable. It wasn't great, but it was fine. The card is just cool. I don't remember what people really thought of this card beforehand, though. It's not the best and flashiest card in the world, so I feel like it's pretty like meh, which makes me believe that people weren't that hyped for it.
It is like you said, a good quality card, though, right? Like, I think if it had been closer in proximity to when Devolve released, it probably would have had more eyes on it, but like Saviors is a long ways away from whenever Devolve existed, right? So
yeah, it's tough because I can't remember what Shaman really got in this set. I'm gonna say that a lot for sure. I have to carry on the meme. Devolve was infinitely better than this. I think a lot of people could tell it was infinitely better than this.
Yeah, it is tough to evaluate.
Yeah, I'm going with 3.4.
I went 3.6, so we're kind of right in the same area.
4.5.
Okay,
really?
We were way off.
There's a comment on this thread that says will get nerfed. It's people were really optimistic on just destroying Big Priest's life. It seems to be the biggest thing here. All right, what's the next card?
Greybow. Gotta make sure we're barking up the right tree here.
Before we go to like talking about this card, I think when this card got revealed, I was like, what the fuck? This is so annoying. It looks so good. 5 mana 4/6 Druid Legendary Taunt. Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion Death Rattle, summon Greybow. Darkwind Fair wasn't, in my opinion, a super powerful set. Like at least when we first saw it. I can't like there's very few cards I remember from that set, but I do remember that this card was, people were like worried for it a little bit. Anyways, I have my answer if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, what do you got?
I've got a 4.6.
I got 4.5. I was gonna go with 4.6 and then I changed it.
He's screen cheating again. I can't believe it. This is the second time you've been within 0.1 of me.
It's tough because I think both of us are.
It's tough.
In take a shot every time I say it during this video. So
don't do that. For the love of God. Disavow. Do not do that.
It would be tough, am I right? The review, 3.8. Dude, how is this worse than Plate? I don't understand.
The mind of a Hearthstone player is an interesting thing, Rarran.
You're right. You are. Okay. Let's do Vicious Fledgling.
That's not how you spell that word. Editor, Do not put this part in.
3-mana 3/3. After this minion attacks, adapt, and it's a beast. The main reason you would play this card is because you can innervate into the Wind Fury, which would be absolutely disgusting. And if I remember correctly, during Ungoro, people were so hyped about quests and other cards that this card did not really even get looked at for the most part. And then all of a sudden, people realized that like, oh, wait a minute, you can innervate this card. And then if it hits Wind Fury, you just kind of lose.
Right. Like it single-handedly won many games of Hearthstone and like high-level competitive play as well. Like just a turn 1 vicious fledgling.
Also, I think the concept of attacking a hero seems way weak. Just from reading the text, like I'm reading it right now, I'm like, that doesn't sound very good. Because realistically, like if there's a minion, like if you hit it, this is just a 3/3.
No, so, that's a good point, because like a lot, especially the early turns, a lot of time, even in aggro mirrors, is a battle for the board, and like you're committed to sending this upstairs. And
yes, yeah, I got my guess. You got your guess?
I do.
All right, I'm gonna go with 2.8.
Oh, I went 3.8.
I'm basing this off that a lot of people just saw this as a 3-mana 3/3.
I think that's accurate to a lot of the pre-release evaluations, but
3.6.
Yeah, I think after the fact it got bumped up.
Play card survives attack phase Wind Fury, attack phase stealth, attack phase 3 attack phase stealth. Some dumb shit like this is gonna happen. It's gonna be in a troll did video. That guy's a prophet.
Lost in the Park. This is the quest line that provides the reward of Guff the Tough.
Okay.
I feel like you've probably got some weird mind meld connection with this card.
Why? Because of Stormwind?
Well, because it's Guff the Tough.
Why? What does that have to do with me? Oh, it's tough. Oh. Lost in the Park. 1 mana quest line for Druid. Gain 4 armor. Attack with your hero. Reward, you get 5 armor. Then you get Defend the Squirrels, which is gain 5 attack with your hero. And then you get 5 armor and you draw a card. Then you get Feral Frenzy, which is gain 6 attack with your hero. Then you get Guff the Tough. And then you get Guff the Tough himself, which is a 5-mana 8/8 taunt. Battlecry, give your hero +8 attack this turn and gain 8 armor. Sorry. Yeah, like I'm going back into United Stormwinds, and I remember the first thing they did was they showed the priest quest line. That was the first thing they did, which was really smart. That one was super flashy. Like that is you win the game if you do this. That was super cool, really smart from the people who decided that card was gonna go first. And then you compare something like that to this one, and your goblin brain thinks to itself, this card is so less cool and interesting, I don't think it's going to be very good.
You could make an argument that this is maybe the second most impactful quest line in the wild format, at least.
Yeah.
Probably between this and the Demon Hunter. Like, it became the old version of Kingsbane Rogue, basically, where you would just hit the opponent in the face and heal for effectively that much damage every turn. And so you were just an aggressive deck that could not ever be killed because of the armor that you were generating. But to your point, everybody just completely ignored it because it is the most boring looking quest line that has ever existed. Like, it just looks so unbelievably boring. And then even Guff the Tough himself, +8 attack and gain 8 armor, compared to like you win the game if you draw this card. Yeah. And it's just so unbelievably boring and underwhelming compared to that there's no way it was rated highly to begin with. And I think people still underestimate just how strong this card ended up being.
The only thing that's making me believe it's going to be a little bit higher is because we talked about, like, people are more optimistic on card ratings because they want cards to be good. But we saw how good the boring Death Knight was for Druid, and I wonder if that influenced it at all. But that's like too far in the past, I think, when this card came out.
Yeah.
You have a rating?
Yes.
What do you got?
I went with 2.5.
I went with 3.2. I just think that this card doesn't look bad. It just doesn't look like interesting. And because it's not a bad looking card, I think people will be willing to give it higher than that. It got 2.3. Dude, what the fuck are we doing in my swamp?
I think what you're underestimating is how like upsetting it is when people see a card that just looks boring. They're going to rate it lower just because, like, wow, this is dumb that it even exists.
Let's do Professor Slate. Actually, that one's really smart. This is such an eye-opening like series. Like, it's so crazy to see what people thought of. I wish we had a bigger database. Like, I wish Hearthstone had first-party ratings on their site. It would have been really interesting to see what people would have said. All right, Professor Slate, 3-mana 3/4. Your spells are poisonous. This was for Scholomance Academy. If I remember correctly, I think people thought this card was actually going to be really good. Hunter's biggest thing often was they had no good removal, and this card just gave Hunter removal.
There's a big bias towards like making Control Hunter work. We talked about this a little bit last
You're right.
time with Deathstalker Rex. Are people just desperately want to play a control hunter.
It's a tempo card for sure, but it's also like a really good value card. Like you see this card, you're like, man, I can make my 1-cost spell kill a ginormous minion. This is really tough. I actually think this is a very difficult one to evaluate.
I keep going back and forth.
I'm gonna go with 4.4.
Ooh, all right. I went 3.7.
4.0. What'd you say?
3.7.
No, you beat me by 0.1. Shit, dude. The first comment on this says, "I hate this class with all my soul." All right, what do you want to do next?
Quick question, Rarran. How do you feel about the Lunacy?
I think it's one of the best cards ever released. And
Okay.
It feels great around my
agree more.
Sorry, what?
Oh. What were you talking about?
Cool, if you watch this video, I'm so sorry. What?
Huh?
Deck of Lunacy. Yeah, I did a video recently, which was like the top 100 cards in Hearthstone, and this was number 8.
Who made you... What?
What's going on?
Are we talking about the other thing again?
No. No. We're talking about this card. I love this card.
But I wouldn't rate it that highly as like one of the strongest.
Let me explain why. Deck of Lunacy, 2 mana, transform spells in your deck into ones that cost 3 or more, and then they keep their original cost. The thing that made this card really good is rotation, and Mage got Refreshing Spring Water. The reason I rated this card so highly on the list is because there are very few cards that if you played it exactly on turn 2, the game is over. But that's not what we're talking about in this video. This video is what this card was rated when it was basically being revealed. And this card looks like an absolute meme. This is a weird card because I think Mage is one of the most popular classes in the game. So I want people to, I want to think that people were like, oh my God, I love this card. It's so fun. But for the most part, I just don't imagine a world where people were rating that this high.
I think the only thing that's going to make it likely that people rated it reasonably highly is the fun factor. Like it's goofy. I went with 3.9.
I went with 3.9. Oh,
you're supposed to make some changes to make it look a little different.
Dude, I'm so sorry. Listen, I was gonna go with like 3.7, but I think 3.9 makes sense because
I was up at like 4.3, 4.2 for a while, and then I kept bringing it down.
It's 3.3. I guess no one gets a point here then, right? Like we both picked the exact same. We just move on, I guess.
Both points go to me.
No, what the fuck? We could do both of us get a point. Would you rather that or rather than no one get a point?
Sure.
Ooh, I like that one. Counterfeit coin. Counterfeit coin, 0 mana for Rogue, gain 1 mana crystal this turn only. People knew how good the coin was in Rogue, so I'd imagine that when this card was released, people were like, damn, this is gonna be pretty good in Rogue.
I don't know. I think people might be like, well, you just get the coin 50% of the time. Why would I add it to my deck?
See, it's tough because Rogue really likes the coin. Just because of combo activators. So like this is like a guaranteed combo activator. And obviously this ended up being a really good card. People ran this card forever.
I will say that like the reason this card is good is because of the abundant card draw in Rogue. Like this card in any other class would be trash if you didn't have the capacity to just like draw your entire deck in any number of ways as a Rogue.
I have my guess. You ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2.4.
Okay, I copied this time. I went 2.3.
Oh shit! It's 4 out of 5.
Well, you got it.
See, I don't know why I'm surprised at that because I can understand the logic. I'm just hurt from Playbreaker. I think a lot of people again saw the potential with a card like this, and you're talking about Miracle Rogue. Edwin was still in the game, which was a bigger deal because I guess you can make a bigger Edwin. All right, your chat.
Cue the life coach memes. The Marsh Queen.
I mean, this one's gonna be really interesting just because there was so much, I'm not gonna call it pressure, but a lot of creators thought this card was gonna be very good. The Marsh Queen, the quest for Hunter during Ongoro, 1 mana, play 7 1-cost minions, and you get Queen Carnassa, which is a 5 mana 8/8 with, wait, this has Rush. It did not have Rush before. Battlecry, I think it was shuffle 15 Raptors into your deck, not 20.
It did, yes.
And then this is what that looks like. Man, they really buffed this card or twisted it. I don't even think anyone played it. So funny.
This is news to me that they buffed this card. I'm gonna be honest. I completely overlooked
I forgot
that
as well. As we've mentioned before, this card was very highly rated going into. People had a lot of expectations for this because Hunter already likes playing 1-cost minions, and then just getting a bunch of 1-cost minions that are 3/2s that draw a card seems absolutely insane. And it just felt like Hunter was going to play this in literally every single deck it had. It did turn out that this was really bad. Not really bad, but bad, because you're skipping your turn 1 as an aggro deck to hopefully catch up later in the game. But why would you want to do that when you could just kill them? Yeah, I think a lot of people would rather play Alley Cat than play the Marsh Queen on turn 1.
At least people that want to win games of Hearthstone would.
Yes. Like you said, Life Coach, who was a pro player at the time, literally quit the game preemptively because he was like, I don't want to play in a world where this card's actually in the game.
Yeah, I think that there was more like that's like the community's memory of that, and like that became the meme. But there's probably a little bit more to it than just that. But yes,
you know what's funny? There's not really. I remember doing a video called like Why Life Coach Left, and I think from an interview he was talking about, he said Blizzard showed them the new quests, and he said like, why are you guys printing this? You guys should nerf it, and then they didn't nerf it. And I think he just got upset and left. I think that's literally what the story was. If you're hearing that as a regular player, and creators, especially in the early days of Hearthstone, had so much influence on what people thought. So I think this card is reviewed very highly.
But then there's like the after the fact reviews coming in that might drag it down a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think during this time there was more reviews, so I think it would change it a lot less. So I'm pretty set on my guess. What are you going with?
I went 3.3.
Oh, I went 4.5. Like, I just remember specifically during that time that people thought Lucari Sacrifice and this one were going to be the best ones.
Yes.
So that's why
it's
I'm
amazing how right they were.
4.3.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Life Coach told HS not to print this card, saying 50-50 it's either useless or too strong. Have we done Spectral Cutlass? Did we do Spectral Cutlass?
I don't think so.
Okay. Spectral Cutlass, rogue weapon, 4 mana for 2 attack and 2 durability. It has lifesteal, and whenever you play a card from another class, it gains +1 durability. Now, I can't remember if Tess was revealed before or after this, and I think that actually matters quite a bit. Most of Rogue's lifespan, up until recently, Thief Rogue was kind of not that great. I would imagine that people would not review this very high.
Yes, but you also have to remember that no matter how bad it was, until it was good, people used to love Thief Rogue.
This was released, the expansion after Kingsbane was released. I feel like that has to have some impact, right? Like, people...
Probably not a good one.
People definitely saw this card and was like, yeah, why am I playing that when I can just play Kingsbane, right? You have a guess?
I do. I'm not confident in it.
All right, I'm going to go 3.8.
I went 3.4.
Okay. I'm tempted to think that this will be lower, but I'm going to pray to God that Tess was revealed before this. 1.9. Oh my God.
I gotta tell you, I was up in the 4s until you brought up the Kingsbane point, and I dropped it significantly.
Yeah, okay.
So thank you for that point.
You're Spectral Dustless.
I mean, those comments were right until fairly recently, right?
Yeah, it was not a good card. It was not a good card. I should have gone lower. Kingsbane thing was crazy.
Let's go with a Corrupt Elementalist.
How do I not know what card? Oh.
Oh, okay. You will.
Okay.
This is the card that made for potentially one of the strongest decks in Hearthstone history.
Again, I don't know how they did the reveal for Galakron. Did they show all of them and then they show the invokes?
I simply think it does not matter. The order, people are going to rate it the same no matter what, which is much, much lower than it ended up being.
Yeah, this one definitely caught people by surprise, I think. The only reason I think that this might be reviewed a little bit higher is because people saw the Galakron effect and like knew like all of them were going to be probably playable. Okay, I have my guess here. Your guess?
Yes.
Okay, what are you going with?
I went with 3.2.
I went for 3.7. 4.5.
Okay, you are very right, and so was the community. Like they maybe should have gone up to 5.5. But yeah, I mean, we can't fault them for that. Yeah, this is really good. Easy turn 7 Shaman Galakron. Yeah, actually, a lot of people thought this was going to be the best invoke card. We just probably doesn't remember it properly. All right, I'll do everything is awesome. For the record, it's 9/7. Very close here. 7 mana, give your minions +2/+2, costs 1 less for each Murloc you control. I'm going to be completely honest. I thought this was the Paladin card that resummoned all the Murlocs that died this game. Anything can happen, Rarran. How could you get those two mixed up?
One of these cards was really good. The other one was questionable. We gotta go back. This is League of Explorers, so this is way back.
I mean, early Hearthstone, you could just shove Murlocs into anything and be kind of okay with it, right? Murloc War Leader was super busted. I hit rank 1 Legend with Murloc Druid.
Yeah, War Leader used to say +1 health, right? That was what it was. Yeah, I remember that shit. That was crazy good. This is +2/+2, and you can make it cheaper than Bloodlust, depending, or as cheap as Savage War, depending what your board was. So people thought this was probably going to be good.
You say that, and I would agree with you. The problem is, as we saw with something like a Corridor Creeper, initially, until people actually start playing the card, evaluating things that can get their cost reduced is very difficult to do because it's hard to predict how easily something can get to 0, like an Everything is Awesome.
I'm trying to imagine, like, people are optimistic when it comes to reviewing, and like this is like a cool card if you actually get to pop off with it.
You might say, Rarran, that it's a tough one.
It's a tough one indeed. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3.4.
I went 3.6. So this is gonna be close.
Shit. 4.0.
All right.
I'm surprised it's so high up, but it's like here's a random ass question. Chat, feel free to answer this as well. Do you think Hearthstone card gamers have gotten better at reviewing cards as Hearthstone's gotten older?
I think what's more likely the case is that the people that are more engaged with the game are more likely to stick around to this point, right? Like the more serious players are still playing Hearthstone than you had a lot of casuals because it was a more popular game during
That's fair.
This period.
That's fair. Your chat's turn.
Yeah, we've got, this is the second one I queued up from last time. It's Myra's Unstable Element.
Myra's Unstable Element, okay. 5 mana, legendary spell for rogue, draw the rest of your deck. Crazy interesting card here, and I don't think we have anything to compare this before this.
I think the closest we could look is maybe an Alunith, right?
See, it's almost said it's tough, but it is tough. How much
card drawing card games is good.
Card drawing card games is good. All right, I got my answer.
It's gonna be on one end of the extremes or the other.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull a life coach here and say that people either rated this very lowly or very highly. I went 2.1.
I went 4.5.
Okay, well, we represent either extreme, so this is perfect.
Okay, my logic is this card is super flashy, preparation still discounts by 3, and I think a lot of people were aware that this card would just be used to like find a win condition.
Okay, I don't think your logic is wrong. I thought, like I said, I could see.
It was 3. What did you pick? You're closer for sure.
3.1.
3.1. Damn. Yeah.
No, 2.
Oh, 2.1. 2.1. Okay, yeah. You were closer for sure. New ways to concede. Forbidden Ritual. All right, Forbidden Ritual. 0 mana for Warlock. Spend all of your mana, summon that many 1/1 tentacles in its shadow. I can't imagine people were that excited about this, but maybe because it's so versatile that people thought it was going to be better, because I think that's one of the biggest traits from Forbidden cards. Like, you can play this whenever you need to.
It may be the best Forbidden card, right?
This was, yeah, for sure. It ended up seeing play. I don't know. I just feel like at this point, Zero Warlock was so iconic to Hearthstone that you're asking yourself, is this truly better than any other card in my deck? Often, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I'm looking at it now, and I knew it was played at some point, and I still think it's bad. So
yeah, it's boring though, right? Like that's the main thing. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah, I'll probably go to the low side for this card. I don't know about you. Okay. I'm gonna go 2.1.
I went 3.5. I couldn't decide. I went right for the middle.
3.3. Yeah. What'd you say?
3.5.
All right. I'm surprised, to be honest. All right, what's your next card?
Plot Twist. Have we done that yet?
2 mana, spell for Warlock. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Draw that many cards. It is very important to note that this was the set before the Warlock quest came out. So this card at the moment kind of just looked like just shuffle your hand in your deck for 2 mana, which I would imagine people were not that excited for.
I think a large portion of the Hearthstone community was very excited for this. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. No matter what the end rating is, it's going to be better than what its actual value is as a card. I'm going to throw one more wrench into your thought process here, just to mess with you a little bit. To this day, people ask why this card isn't included in a lot of decks that I play.
This was your card, right?
Yes.
What did you pick?
I went 3.9.
I went 3.8. Okay, I want you to know, before you said your last line there, I went for 2.8. 4.2, like, dude, there's no, especially during Rise of Shadows.
I'm telling you, to this day, people still want this in Reno Lock.
I can't imagine a world where this is good. This card alone will make Control Warlock a new thing in the new meta. Dude, there's no, it wouldn't. I want the drugs these people are smoking. This is crazy. I'm so...
Okay, here's the thing, though.
Okay, I'm waiting.
What we're failing to consider. If you run 2 copies of Plot Twist, you could use the first Plot Twist to shuffle the second Plot Twist into your deck because it's a dead card.
Dude, this is a great card. Let's do this one. Is it called Green Jelly? That's what it's called, right?
You can't just make up cards.
No, it's a card. It's from Kobolds and Catacombs. Is this a custom card? No, this was real. Green Jelly, 5 mana 3/3. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/2 ooze with taunt. In case anyone hasn't seen this, this is what the ooze looks like. We're talking purely basically in standard. And yeah. I can't imagine a world where anybody was like, yeah, dude, this card looks sick. Okay, let's be real here. There's not much to discuss here. I'm pretty sure that this card was rated really low, especially in this set. Cobalt and Catacombs is one of the most powerful sets during that time, if not the most powerful. The question is, how low do you want to go?
I know how low I'm going.
I'm gonna go with 2.2.
I can't change it now, but I was about to make a decision too. I went with 1.2 just because it matches the 1/2 stat line of the use. But I realize it's probably too low. Somebody in chat brought up a good point that it's like, if you squint hard enough, it's almost a sludge belcher.
That guy needs to go fucking get some glasses. It's 2.3 out of 5.
Okay, yeah. I like that one. Uther of the Ebon Blade.
All right, 9 mana hero card for Paladin. Battlecry, equip a 5/3 lifesteal weapon. And then its hero power is the 4 Horsemen. Summon a 2/2 Horseman. If you have all 4, destroy the enemy hero. I'm pretty confident that most people didn't know that you can like bounce them back to your hand and such, but this was a really cool card. Would Quick Draw make Plot Twist better? In what way? Why are we on Plot Twist? Comparatively to other Death Knight cards, this one looked really cool. Paladin players were stoked to play this shit. And if you see
it's like the anti-Malfurion hero, right? Like it's super flashy, but wasn't very effective.
Compare this to Thrall, like not even the Druid one. You're like, what the fuck? Like, why am I playing Shaman? I think this is probably gonna be right pretty high. And you were going first?
Yeah, I went 4.5.
Yeah, I went 4.4. 4.6.
Oh man.
Oh.
Right, almost right on the dot.
It's definitely above 4. I think both of us were on that. It's just how high did you really want to go for that one? Yeah, 4.6 makes sense. For the record, you were 1 point away from winning this.
Oh god, pressure's on.
You were killing this. Let me read some of these comments real fast. Utter piece of shit in late game where all sorts of OTK combos exist. All right, this might be the last card here, so I'm gonna go with a real spicer here. Let's go with Marn the Fox, or Marin the Fox. I love it when streamers misinterpret comments. Dude, how did I misinterpret the comment? Well, hold on, Roffle, I gotta one guy this guy. Explain.
Yeah, go for it. We can tag team this if you want.
Hold on, waiting for him to respond.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good to like. I'm 100% behind this. This is just me.
This is what you live for, dude. When the streamer fight back. All right, I'm over. He's not responding. Marin the Fox, 8 mana 6/6. Battlecry, summon a 0/8 treasure chest from your opponent. Break it for awesome loot. This is the treasures. So there's a 0/8 on your opponent's board that's summoned. You get draw a card, fill your hand with copies of it. We have discover a legendary minion, summon 2 copies of it. We have draw 3 cards, reduce their cost to 0. And then we have taunt, Battlecry, replace your hand with legendary minions. And this is a 6/6, and they're all 3 mana. This was the free legendary that people got during Kobolds and Catacombs, which we haven't really evaluated a card like this yet. Regardless, I'm not sure how that's going to affect the rating. We could just talk about how good this card actually ended up being. Pretty shit. The problem is this is an 8 mana 6/6 do nothing, and then you also have to work towards getting the chest.
Like that's true in reality, but you know, people love to dream big, and there are like big flashy things that can come off of these, right? But I think, like you're saying, the reality of the situation comes a lot faster with these pre-release cards than they would a card that you see have to wait a month and then actually get to play.
I feel like if this card was given to me and I was playing during this time, I just don't remember anymore. Like I would be really excited to play this card, even if I thought it was bad. I know it was bad, but how long did it take for that realization to set in?
I mean, it was immediate for me, but I'm built different.
Okay, dude.
I'm not as confident in it, but I've got a rating.
I'll go with 3.4.
Okay, I went 2.7.
Okay. It's a 3.1. What did you guys?
2.7.
I got 3.4. Oh,
yeah, you were closer. Just barely.
0.1. Let's go. Huge.
I almost went to 2.9 as well. Hecklebot.
Oh, great pick. 4 mana 3/8 taunt. Battlecry, your opponent summons a minion from their deck. It's a mech, and it was neutral for Rise of Shadows. Was it good? I think it was played. I just can't remember if it was actually okay.
It was played at times. It was actually eventually an Oaken Summons poll for a while. That was. It's another one of those tech cards though, Rarran, that people would just to this day. Why aren't you running Hecklebot in this deck?
Wait, there's no way people said that to you.
Have you heard the other cards that people suggest on a regular basis, Rarran?
Yeah, but
this card is much better than those cards.
You're right, and that makes me think that like people wouldn't want you to play it because it doesn't have such a specific effect, and there's other cards that also do this. I feel like this card people would be optimistic on it though. It's a good body. I'm willing to rip this. All right, what do you got?
I went 4.5.
Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna regret this, but I went 3.9. 3.8. Let's go.
Oh my god, I'm gonna if you come back from this, I'm going to
I'm on fire.
Lose my mind.
Can we just appreciate that 3/8 is being rated 3.8? Poison Blade. This card was just 3 mana at the start, right? Or was it 4? Okay, 4 mana 1/3. Your hero power gives this +1 attack instead of replacing it for rogue. 4 mana 1/3 for this effect might have been the worst card of all time. Quite literally, I can't imagine a world where anyone thought this was going to be good. I don't know if there's much to discuss. Like, I think we both knew just how bad this card was.
It's just a matter of how low we want to go. That's really what it comes down to.
I did 2.1.
I went 1.4.
Yeah, it ended up being 1.9. I was gonna go unironically. I had 1.5 put up, and then I thought to myself, people might think that there's like a way to get this super high up. I don't even remember this card. You shouldn't. Hold on. I got it. Chat. Look at my Roffle. Hold on a second. I gotta show my.
Bro showing off his deck again.
I was showing my pussy. Look at this. Roffle, by the way, I'm coming back from this.
No, you're not. No, chat's gonna pick a great card that only I have information about. We're gonna metagame this like the YouTube commenters wanted us to, and I'm going to just dominate from here. Let's go the last Kaleidosaur.
What the why are we doing this? The last Kaleidosaur, the Paladin quest from Ongoro. Cast 5 spells and your minions. You get Galvadon. He's a 5. Wait, this was buff for sure. I think he was a 5-mana 5/5. Yeah, he was a 5-mana 5/5 Battlecry, adapt 5 times, and then he was a beast. The quest was 6 spells. Oh, was it? So cast 6 spells on your minions, and then Galvadon was 5-mana 5/5 adapt 5 times. The thing about this quest is I don't think people realized how bad it was going to be. We're also living in an age where people thought that the Caverns Below was going to be bad, and I feel like people were more optimistic on this one than the Caverns Below.
They definitely were, but like at the same time, I don't think people were very high. Like we saw what happened with Vicious Fledgling, right? Like people, I think, undervalued adapt.
Adapting 5 times seems like it would be pretty powerful though. Just like,
yeah, but you're literally getting 1/15 the number of minions that the Hunter quest did.
It was definitely rated higher than the quest rogue, which we did last episode, I believe, and that was, I can't remember the rating, but I think it was in like the 2s. People probably felt the exact same way. I think maybe people thought about the dream of like how good Galvadon was going to be, so there's some reason to believe that it was going to be like higher up. I don't know, this is actually a really interesting one.
It's tough.
It is tough. You got your answer?
I do.
Yeah, what are you going with?
I went 2.5.
Holy shit, I went 3.7. It ended up being a 3. What did you pick?
2.5.
No.
Oh, I got there.
Oh. You know,
No
it's
comebacks.
it's you know what, 3 is actually such a good rating for this, like just to guess, because it's just like it looks just like a card.
Vanilla.
Like, yeah, fuck. Damn it, man. I always had the comeback. Ah, GG's, man. That was fun. This is a good time. Read this comments real fast. Silence lol. Okay.
I mean, they're not wrong.